Hello, my witchlets, and welcome back to another rousing episode of Kitchen Witchery and Other Spells. Today, we are going to practice some kitchen witchery and do something called a Keto Tiramisu for two. I've made this recipe before. It's very, very good. I'm going to make a few alterations to it to make it not quite so rich, sweet, one of those. Anyway, so I got this from the internet, and I would tell you what the website was, except it's not anywhere on any of the pages that I have printed out. So we're just going to get started and just go right into things. You are going to need, for the cake portion of it, you are going to need instant coffee, hazelnut flavored if you're into hazelnuts. I'm not, so I'm not doing the hazelnut flavored thing. Boiling water, a tablespoon of butter, 2 tablespoons of your powdered sweetener. I'm using monk fruit. You can use stevia if you want, or sugar, whatever you want. This is specifically, the ingredients that I'm using are specifically for a ketogenic diet or a paleo diet, but you do you. So let's see, the powdered sugar, or powdered sweetener, I mean, coconut flour, baking powder. Now this calls for hazelnut meal or flour. I'm using almond flour because I don't like hazelnuts, and I nearly had a heart attack when I saw how expensive that was. And I said no because I don't like hazelnuts enough to justify that price. So, and I will never use it for anything other than this recipe, so it's not worth it. And then you'll also need an egg and a pinch of salt and a teaspoon of brandy for that'll be for when you go to layer it in your containers. So we're going to start with this, and then we'll get everything ready for the mascarpone filling that goes in it. So let's go ahead and get started here. We can do all this sitting down, I think. So you're going to need 2 bowls to do the mixing, because in one you put your wet ingredients, and in the other you put your dry ingredients. So we're going to start here with a teaspoon of boiling water, and probably should have started with the instant coffee, because you need 4 teaspoons of that. It's okay. Thank you. Poor cameraman Ken. He's having a hard time. Okay, so 1, 2, that's a tablespoon, and 4 teaspoons. And also your tablespoon of butter, which I totally forgot to grab a knife to cut my tablespoon of butter. Never fear, they're right here. All right, so let's see if I can do this. That's half, and then half, and half, and then that's a tablespoon. I'm smart sometimes, but I also lack a lot of coordination and other skills, so it all balances out. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to mix the coffee till it has dissolved and the butter has melted. I think my water isn't quite as boiling as it was when I started all of this. But anyway, you're going to mix this, like I said, till everything is incorporated and melted, and it's kind of a thick, slurry-like thing. I'm actually going to hand this off to cameraman Ken because this is really boring to watch, and he can take care of this while I do the other stuff. Thank you, cameraman Ken. All right, so the next part is in another bowl. You're going to combine your dry ingredients. So we're going to take our 2 tablespoons of powdered sweetener, 1 and 2, and our tablespoon of coconut flour. There we go. A teaspoon of baking powder. We should add this to our list. The salt, just a pinch, and the tablespoon of hazelnut or almond flour. And then this gets mixed together. I'm just going to use my tablespoon measure to do that. Honestly, if I had a sifter, I would sift this all together, because, I don't know, I like sifters. I like the way stuff goes when you sift it. It's just me. Okay, so now that we've combined all of those, we are going to combine the wet ingredients here with the dry ingredients by actually doing it in the reverse way. And so what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to stir this so that it's not a huge glob like that, and incorporate it. It's really difficult for me to talk and do this at the same time. I'm just letting you know. All right. So we want to combine all of this together into a dough-like consistency. And then at this point, it's now time to add the egg and make it a whole lot easier to do that. No, I still don't know how to crack eggs. You've been watching this channel for how long? I figured you guys would realize that. There we go. Now, suddenly it's a whole lot easier to combine everything. This right here is the longest part. The mascarpone filling might be a little longer, but this is really the longest part. So, combine everything into a smooth batter-like consistency. And then you want to take a handy-dandy coffee mug that is roughly going to be the same size opening as what you're putting this into to serve it. And you want to grease it however you choose to grease it. On the other side of the table, naturally. Probably not a good idea to use a black coffee mug because it's really difficult to see inside of it, but that's okay. It's all I have right now. My favorite coffee mug that was featured in the very first video on my channel broke. And I'm very, very sad. And they haven't gotten around to making me a new one yet. So we pour this into our coffee mug. And this is where we start to pray to the pastry gods. There we go. And now I've made a mess. Which, if you were expecting anything less, have you seen my channel? All right, so now here's the really difficult part of what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this in the microwave on high for 1 minute, and I'll come back in a minute. Alrighty, we are back, and as you can see, we have our cake, because that's how it turns out for me. Your mileage may vary, it might be different for you. So what we have going on here is we're gonna make the mascarpone filling for this, and that will involve a lot of work that I forgot about. So this is actually going to be the part that takes the longest, not the cake. The cake is actually pretty simple. So you need to separate an egg into its white and its yolk. You're going to whip the whites into stiff peaks, and for that, I'm going to use a stick blender with the whisk attachment and try not to hurt myself. In fact, I think I'll come back to this once I get it to stiff peaks, because this is going to be really loud and I don't deal well with loud things. Okay, so we're back. This whips up really fast actually, so if you're going to use a stick blender, it's for about 1 minute to 1.5 minutes on low, and then you can switch over to high and it's fluffy. Fluffy! So then in this bowl, what we're going to do is we are going to add our room temperature mascarpone, whatever that is. You need 4 ounces of it, and this is an 8-ounce container, so I'm pretty confident in my measuring here. So that goes in there. And then you are going to add, now this is where I differ from the recipe. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of your sweetener. And I'm gonna tell you that when we did this the last time with 2 tablespoons of sweetener, it was good, but I think it took us like an hour to eat it because it was so sweet. So we're gonna do a tablespoon this time and hope that that's sufficient as far as not being overly sweet. I will let you know. And then we need a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm not fancy. I use imitation vanilla. Yes, I know real vanilla has a better flavor, but I get what I can afford, yo. All right. So then this one says to whisk this to combine as well. So again, loud noise and such. I will come back when this is whisked together. Alrighty, so this whisks really fast. It's just loud. So what you're gonna do is you are going to add your mascarpone mixture into your egg whites and fold it all together. And you want to be careful that you don't overwork the egg whites and knock out the air that's in them. I love when I say things like that because it makes me sound smart and it makes me sound like I know what I'm doing. But I think that's the Capricorn in me. So then what we do to combine is fold and fight with the egg whites. There we go. And once all of this is incorporated together, you have a nice fluffy kind of a filling here. We will reframe things and show you how to put all of this together. All right, now it's time for the second most fun part, and that is putting it together. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your mascarpone and you're going to put a quarter of the mixture into the bottom of each of your serving glasses. This is not an exact science, so don't like freak out too much. You just want to have about half of your mixture remaining in your bowl. Get them as even as possible. All right, so you got your mixtures in here. You cut your cake into 2 pieces and you put each carefully into, oh, of course, because why wouldn't you, into your glass. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your brandy and you're gonna put a whole bunch. Then you're going to take the rest of your mascarpone. Oh, it's supposed to be a half a teaspoon. Cameraman Ken is telling me I should tell you how much. It's supposed to be a half a teaspoon. Then you just put the rest of your mascarpone on top of your cake that is now soaked in brandy, especially the one that is directly in front of me.
Dibs.
That's fine, you can have that one. And that is your Keto Tiramisu for 2. And if you are curious as to why I have chosen tiramisu as the dessert, because it's amazing and everybody should eat it. But no, tiramisu is actually my favorite dessert. So there you have it. So hopefully you liked what you saw. And if you did, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down button, smash that dislike button. Just leave me a comment either way. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. Tell me if you love tiramisu as much as I do. These are really good if you are doing a gluten-free kind of a diet, because as you have seen, there's nothing in here that's going to trigger your allergy, which is good. If you're allergic to dairy, however, I'm sorry, I don't know what to substitute for mascarpone. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.